Posted by @KnoxArcher_truth 3:47 p.m. October 15th, 2025. The convoy rolled through downtown Savannah like a steel river, humming with purpose I'd never seen before. 23 vehicles. I counted them twice from the courthouse steps, where I'd been covering another mundane city council meeting about parking meters and historic preservation ordinances. The kind of local politics that pays my bills but never quickens my pulse. But this was different. The lead vehicle wasn't your standard military transport. Matte black, angular, with antenna arrays that looked more like they belonged on a surveillance platform than a Humvee. Behind it, a procession of troop carriers and what appeared to be mobile command units, their diesel engines creating a bass note that vibrated through the cobblestones beneath my feet. I pulled out my phone, started recording, thumb hovering over the Twitter upload button. Force of habit. Document first, ask questions later. That's what separates real journalists from bloggers with opinions. The convoy turned onto Bull Street, heading toward the squares that make Savannah famous. Those perfect patches of Spanish moss and Georgian architecture that draw tourists from around the world. Except today, there weren't any tourists. The streets were emptying as the military vehicles passed, like water flowing away from a dropped stone. My phone buzzed. Emergency alert. Emergency broadcast system. Issued 3:52 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Effective immediately. Emergency. Temporary lockdown of designated areas for public safety. Comply with military personnel instructions. Avoid the following areas until further notice. Historic District Squares 1 to 3, Whitaker Street Corridor, Forsyth Park South Entrance. This is not a drill. I stared at the screen, reading it 3 times. In 15 years of covering Savannah, from hurricane evacuations to the occasional bomb threat at the port, I'd never seen anything like this. The areas they'd listed weren't random. They were all within a mile of each other, forming a rough triangle in the heart of the historic district. More importantly, they were all areas where my sister Maya worked. Maya's a data analyst for one of those defense contractors nobody talks about, the kind that keeps offices in unmarked buildings and pays well enough that she never discusses what she actually does. All I know is she spends her days in a converted mansion on Whitaker Street, analyzing logistics patterns for Fort Stewart. We joke that she's probably tracking toilet paper shipments, but the joke feels hollow when she can afford a downtown apartment on a contractor's salary. I tried calling her. Straight to voicemail. Maya, it's Knox. There's some kind of military thing happening downtown. Call me back, okay? The unease started then, a cold finger tracing my spine. Not the dramatic chill you read about in novels, but that subtle wrongness you feel when your routine gets disrupted. Like when you reach for your keys and they're not where you left them. I walked back toward the courthouse, pulling up Maya's contact again. Still voicemail. I tried texting. Knox, you okay? Military lockdown near your office. The message showed as delivered but not read. Maya's always on her phone. Always. The emergency alert had mentioned compliance with military personnel, so I decided to test the boundaries. I'm press, after all. Protected by the First Amendment and a healthy sense of professional curiosity that's gotten me in trouble more times than I can count. I walked south on Bull Street, toward the cordoned areas. The closer I got, the more wrong everything felt. The usual sounds of downtown Savannah, tour groups, horse-drawn carriages, the distant hum of traffic, had been replaced by an electronic silence broken only by the occasional radio crackle from military positions. They'd set up checkpoints, real ones with barriers and armed guards who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. I approached the closest one, press badge visible on my jacket. Knox Archer, Savannah Morning News, I said to the soldier manning the barrier. Young guy, couldn't be more than 25, with the kind of tan that comes from somewhere other than Georgia. Sorry, sir. No civilians beyond this point. I'm press. First Amendment protections apply even during emergencies. He glanced at something on his tablet, then back at me. I'm going to need you to step back, Mr. Archer. The way he said my name stopped me cold. He'd known who I was before I introduced myself. That meant they had a list. That meant this wasn't as spontaneous as the emergency alert made it seem. Can you tell me what this is about? The public has a right to know. I'm not authorized to provide information. You'll need to contact the appropriate channels. Appropriate channels. Military speak for go away and stop asking questions. I backed off, but not before noting the checkpoint's position and the equipment they were using. High-end communications gear, the kind that costs more than most people's cars. This wasn't a training exercise or a routine security sweep. My phone buzzed again. Not an emergency alert this time. An encrypted message from an app one rarely used. Unknown contact. Is this Knox Archer? Maya's brother? I stared at the screen. Maya had never mentioned giving anyone my contact information, especially not through encrypted channels. Knox, who is this? Unknown contact, Mira Sterling. Maya's roommate. She didn't come home last night. Her phone goes straight to some kind of government intercept message. Government intercept message. That explained why my calls weren't going through. Knox, meet me at the coffee shop on Broughton. 20 minutes. Mira, can't. They're watching the usual places. Check your press credentials. Press credentials? I pulled up my Savannah Morning News profile on my phone, the one linked to my press badge and official city access. The page loaded, but something was wrong. My photo was there, my byline was there, but my status showed as inactive, credentials suspended. That was impossible. I'd just used my badge at the courthouse that morning. I'd been with the paper for 8 years, no disciplinary actions, no complaints. I tried calling my editor. The number was disconnected. I tried the main newsroom line. A recording told me the number was no longer in service. My hands started shaking as I pulled up the newspaper's website. The Savannah Morning News homepage loaded normally, but when I clicked on the staff directory, my name wasn't there. 8 years of articles, hundreds of bylines, and according to the website, Knox Archer had never worked for the Savannah Morning News. The cold finger tracing my spine had become a fist clenched around my heart. I looked back toward the military checkpoint, where the young soldier was still watching me. He raised his radio to his mouth and said something I couldn't hear. They knew who I was, but according to official records, I didn't exist as a journalist anymore. Maya was missing, her phone intercepted by government systems, and I just lost my professional identity between the courthouse steps and a military checkpoint. The emergency alert had been sent at 3:52 p.m. It was now 4:23 p.m. In 31 minutes, my life had been quietly, efficiently dismantled. I pocketed my phone and started walking away from the checkpoint, forcing myself to maintain a casual pace even as every instinct screamed at me to run. Whatever was happening in those classified enclaves, it was big enough to erase a journalist and disappear a defense contractor. And it was just getting started. Posted by @KnoxArcher_truth 7:15 a.m. October 16th, 2025. Couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that soldier's face when he said my name. Like he'd been expecting me. Like I was on a list. Started digging at 3 a.m. If the Savannah Morning News wants to pretend I never existed, fine. Social media doesn't lie the same way official records do. 8 years of tweets, Facebook posts, Instagram stories documenting my work. Digital breadcrumbs that are harder to scrub clean. But they're trying. My follower count dropped by 60 overnight. Not people unfollowing, accounts being deleted entirely. Comments on my older posts are disappearing in real time. I screenshot everything now, but even those feel fragile, like they might evaporate if I look away too long. @KnoxArcher_truth. Question for my Savannah followers. Anyone else notice unusual military activity downtown yesterday? DM me. Working on a story. Posted that at 6 a.m. 3 responses so far, all anonymous accounts created within the last 24 hours. All saying the same thing. Nothing unusual. Business as usual downtown. Business as usual. The exact phrase, word for word, from 3 different people. Encrypted message, 7:23 a.m. Mira, they held a press briefing this morning. Early. You need to see this. She sent me a link to the local news live stream. Vera Lang, Homeland Security Regional Coordinator, standing behind a podium with the city seal. Professional, composed, with the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning. Yesterday's security measures in downtown Savannah were part of a routine infrastructure assessment coordinated between federal and local authorities. Some residents may have observed increased security presence, which is standard protocol for these evaluations. Infrastructure assessment, not the emergency or public safety mentioned in yesterday's alert. The assessment is ongoing and may require periodic access restrictions to certain areas. We appreciate the community's patience and cooperation during this routine process. Routine. She said routine 4 times in 90 seconds. I'll take a few questions. A reporter I didn't recognize raised her hand. Can you specify which infrastructure is being assessed? I'm not able to discuss operational details of ongoing evaluations. Another hand. How long will these restrictions remain in place? The timeline depends on assessment completion. We'll provide updates as appropriate. Every answer was a non-answer wrapped in bureaucratic cotton. But what bothered me more was what I didn't see. Not a single reporter I recognized from the local press corps. Either they weren't invited, or they were kept out for other reasons, like having their credentials mysteriously suspended. At @NoxArcher_truth, just watched Homeland Security briefing about downtown infrastructure assessment. Anyone else find it interesting they didn't invite local press? #Savannah lockdown. Posted that and watched my phone for responses. Nothing. Not even trolls. A tweet about local government secrecy should generate some reaction, even if it's just people telling me to shut up. Radio silence is worse than criticism. It means you're shouting into a void. I decided to test something. Drove toward downtown, taking a route that would bring me close to the checkpoint zones without actually entering them. I needed to see if the electronic interference I'd noticed yesterday was getting worse. It was. My phone started glitching 3 blocks from the nearest checkpoint. Not dramatically, just small things. Apps taking longer to load. Text messages sending twice. The GPS recalculating my route even though I was driving straight. Then my car radio started acting up. Static burst through every station, but not random static. There was a pattern to it, almost like Morse code but more complex. Rhythmic pulses that made my teeth ache. I pulled over and tried recording it with my phone. The recording played back clean, no static at all. Whatever was causing the interference wasn't being captured by digital devices, or wasn't being allowed to be captured. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Unknown. Stop asking questions about yesterday. For your own good. I stared at the message. No area code I recognized. When I tried calling the number back, it was disconnected. Encrypted message, 10:47 a.m. Knox, Mira, can you meet somewhere neutral? Coffee shop on Victory Drive? Mira, can't do public places. They're monitoring social patterns now. Anyone who worked with Maya is being watched. Knox, worked with Maya? Past tense? Mira, her access badge was deactivated this morning. Officially, she never worked for the contractor. No employment records, no security clearance, no nothing. The same thing that happened to my press credentials. Professional erasure. Knox, what was she working on? Mira, data analysis. Pattern recognition stuff. But the last few weeks, she was upset about something. Kept talking about information that didn't want to be known. Information that didn't want to be known. Strange way to phrase it. Knox, what does that mean? Mira, she said some data actively resisted analysis. Like it was designed to be forgotten. She was working late trying to understand it. Knox, do you have any of her work files? Mira, maybe. But Knox, looking at them might not be safe. Might not be safe. What kind of information could be dangerous just to look at? I drove home, paranoia crawling up my spine like spiders. Every car behind me seemed suspicious. Every person on the sidewalk might be watching. The rational part of my brain said I was overreacting, but the journalist in me had learned to trust my instincts. My instincts were screaming. Back at my apartment, I tried a different approach. If they were scrubbing my professional existence, maybe I could find traces in places they wouldn't think to look. Local business licenses, tax records, utility bills, the mundane paper trail that follows every working adult. My Georgia business license, required for freelance journalism, had been revoked for administrative reasons. My professional liability insurance had been canceled for policy violations. My membership in the Georgia Press Association showed as never approved. 8 years of professional life, systematically dismantled overnight. I was starting to understand what had happened to Maya. Encrypted message, 2:33 p.m. Unknown contact, Mr. Archer. We should talk. Knox, who is this? Unknown contact, someone who knew your sister. Call me Orion. Knox knew her? She's not dead. Orion, isn't she? Check your family photos. I dropped my phone like it had bitten me. That was impossible. You don't just erase someone from family photos. But I was already moving toward my bookshelf, toward the albums I hadn't looked at in months. My hands were shaking as I opened the first one. Birthday parties, holidays, family dinners. All the pictures were there, but something was wrong. Subtle wrongness, like a song played in the wrong key. There were gaps. Spaces where someone should be standing. Arms around empty air. Conversations with invisible participants. Maya wasn't in any of the photos, but I remembered her being there. I could see her in my mind, laughing at Dad's terrible jokes, arguing with Mom about college majors, standing beside me at graduations and weddings. The memories were vivid, detailed, real. The photograph said otherwise. Knox, what the hell is happening? Orion, they're testing something new. Information warfare. The ability to edit reality by editing records. Your sister stumbled onto it. Knox, that's impossible. Orion, is it? You're a journalist with no job history. She's a sister with no photo evidence. How much of your life exists only in your memory? I looked around my apartment with new eyes. How much of what I thought I knew about myself could I actually prove? If all the official records said Knox Archer was never a journalist, never had a sister, never existed in any meaningful way, who was I really? The static from the radio was getting louder, even with the radio turned off. It seemed to be coming from inside my own head, a rhythmic pulse that matched my heartbeat. Or maybe my heartbeat was matching it. Knox, meet me. Tonight. Somewhere they won't think to look. Orion, Bonaventure Cemetery. Midnight. Come alone and Knox? Knox, yeah? Orion, don't trust your own memories. They're not as reliable as you think. Posted by @KnoxArcher_truth 12:47 a.m. October 17th, 2025. Bonaventure Cemetery at midnight feels like the edge of the world. Spanish moss hangs like funeral shrouds from ancient oaks, and the Wilmington River whispers secrets to empty graves. I've been here for photo shoots before, tourist magazine pieces about Savannah's haunted beauty, but never like this. Never as a man whose own existence was being quietly erased. Orion was waiting by the bird girl statue, though Orion clearly wasn't his real name. Mid-30s, military bearing he couldn't quite hide beneath civilian clothes. The kind of careful posture that comes from years of standing at attention. You came, he said without turning around. You said you knew my sister. I said I knew your sister. Past tense matters, Mr. Archer. He handed me a manila folder, thick with documents. Before you look at these, understand something. The information you're about to see has been classified as a cognitive hazard. The act of reading it may cause permanent psychological damage. That's impossible. Is it? You're standing in a cemetery at midnight because your sister has been erased from photographs. Your career has been deleted from official records. At what point do you stop calling things impossible? I opened the folder. The first document was a FOIA request I'd filed 3 days ago, after Maya disappeared, but before I'd lost my press credentials. The response had arrived that afternoon. 47 pages, every line blacked out except the headers and page numbers. Freedom of Information Act, Orion said. Emphasis on freedom. They can't refuse to give you documents, but they can redact everything that matters. The second document was different. A partial printout of what looked like military communications, timestamped 2 weeks ago. Classified transmission, Project Looking Glass. From Savannah Research Station Alpha to Fort Gordon PSYOPs Division. Phase 3 trials proceeding as scheduled. Subject M47, Sterling MAY, has achieved 73% information retention despite level 4 memetic exposure. Recommend escalation to level 5 protocols. Note, subject demonstrates unusual resistance to standard erasure techniques. Family connections may be providing psychological anchoring. Recommend isolation from support network. Status, Subject M47 scheduled for deep extraction October 14th, 2025. October 14th, the day before the emergency alert. The day before Maya disappeared. She was a test subject, I said, my voice barely audible. She was a problem. Maya stumbled onto something she wasn't supposed to see. Her job analyzing logistics patterns was cover for something much more sensitive. She was mapping information flow, how data moves, how it's retained, how it can be altered. I flipped to the next page. A psychological evaluation report with Maya's photo in the corner. Her real photo, not the empty spaces I'd found in my family albums. Subject displays exceptional memory retention and pattern recognition capabilities. Preliminary exposure to level 2 mimetic agents produced minimal cognitive disruption. Subject appears to possess natural resistance to information manipulation techniques. Recommendation: continue testing with progressively stronger mimetic agents until threshold is reached. Mimetic agents, I read aloud. What the hell does that mean? Information designed to alter memory and perception. Ideas that can rewrite how you think, what you remember, who you believe yourself to be. Maya was helping them perfect it without knowing what she was really working on. The static in my head was getting worse, pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat. How do I know you're telling the truth? How do I know this isn't part of whatever they're doing to me? Orion smiled, but it was sad rather than reassuring. You don't. That's the beauty of what they've created. Once you start questioning your own memories, your own perceptions, how can you trust anything, including this conversation? He was right, and that terrified me more than the documents. There's more, he said, nodding toward the folder. The next section contained printouts of encrypted communications between someone identified only as VL and various government agencies. The timestamps showed intensive coordination in the weeks leading up to the lockdown. VL to DHS Regional Command, Savannah site prepared for Phase 4 implementation. Recommend media blackout, beginning October 15th. VL to Fort Stewart Intelligence, local journalist Archer Knox, may pose exposure risk. Credentials revoked, monitoring authorized. VL to Homeland Security Classification Review. Request immediate elevation of Project Looking Glass to cosmic clearance level. Information must not reach public domain under any circumstances. Elvira Lang. The woman from the press briefing, the one with the bureaucratic smile and non-answers. She's running this, I said. She's the face of it. But Knox, you need to understand what you're really dealing with here. This isn't just government surveillance or black ops. They've created weaponized information. Ideas that can kill memories, documents that edit themselves, data that actively resists being known. As if on cue, the words on the page began to blur. Not my vision. The ink itself seemed to be moving, letters rearranging themselves like living things. Don't look directly at it, Orion said sharply. Peripheral vision only. Some information is designed to be unstable when observed. I forced myself to look away, but I could still see the text shifting in my peripheral vision, transforming from classified communications into something else. Something that hurt to perceive, even indirectly. Maya found files like this, Orion continued. Data that couldn't be analyzed because it changed when you tried to study it. Information that seemed to have a survival instinct. That's impossible, I said again, but the word felt hollow. Maya said the same thing, right up until she started forgetting pieces of her own life. Her childhood, her relationships, her own name. The information she was studying her back, Knox. Learning how to edit her out of existence. I closed the folder, but my hands were shaking. Where is she now? Gone. Not dead, worse. Erased so completely that she never existed in the first place. Except in the memories of people who loved her, and even those are fading. But I remember her. For now. How much detail can you actually recall? Her birthday? Her favorite food? The sound of her laugh? I tried to remember, but the memories felt slippery, like trying to hold water in cupped hands. I could remember that she existed, that she was important to me, but the specifics were already becoming vague. It's starting, isn't it? Orion said gently. The forgetting. My phone buzzed. Emergency alert. Emergency broadcast system. Issued 12:53 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Effective immediately. Citizens reporting unusual symptoms should report to designated medical stations immediately. Symptoms may include persistent headaches, memory confusion, difficulty retaining information, auditory disturbances. Medical evaluation is mandatory for affected individuals. Compliance ensures public safety. I stared at the alert. Every symptom it listed, I was experiencing right now. They know you're here, Orion said, looking at his own phone. They know you've seen the documents. How is that possible? The same way they know everything else. Information wants to be free, Knox, but some information wants to be controlled. And once you've been exposed to controlled information, it reports back to its handlers. The static in my head suddenly spiked, so loud I dropped to my knees among the cemetery's weathered headstones. Through the pain, I could hear something else, voices speaking in languages that might not have been human. "Fight it," Orion said, kneeling beside me. "Don't let it in. Don't let it rewrite you." But I could feel something changing in my mind, like fingers rifling through filing cabinets, removing certain memories and replacing them with others. The pain was extraordinary, but worse was the sense of loss, pieces of myself disappearing even as I tried to hold on to them. When it stopped, I was lying on my back looking up at Spanish moss and stars. Orion was gone. The folder was gone, but burned into my memory was a single phrase, repeated like a mantra. Maya never existed. Except I knew that wasn't true. I could feel the shape of her absence, the sister-sized hole in my life where someone important used to be. Someone was lying to me. Maybe everyone was lying to me. Maybe I was lying to myself. I stumbled back to my car, the emergency alert still glowing on my phone screen. As I drove away from Bonaventure Cemetery, I caught a glimpse of black SUVs in my rearview mirror. They weren't following me. They were hurting me. Posted by @NoxArcher_truth, 3:22 a.m. October 18th, 2025. I've been staring at my laptop screen for 4 hours, trying to make sense of the notes I apparently wrote yesterday. The handwriting is mine, but I don't remember writing any of it. Pages of documentation about something called Project Looking Glass, and references to a sister named Maya who, according to every official record I can find, never existed. But the headaches are real. Christ, are they real? It started as a dull throb behind my eyes when I got home from Bonaventure Cemetery, a cemetery I have no memory of visiting, though my car's GPS shows I was there until 1:17 a.m. Now it feels like something with claws is trying to dig its way out of my skull from the inside. I'm not the only one. Posted by @Savannah Mom of 3:45 a.m. Anyone else getting these weird headaches after looking at those documents that were leaked online yesterday? Can't remember what they said, but my head is killing me. Posted by @Historic District Resident 2:52 a.m. @Savannah Mom of 3, yes. Tried to screenshot them, but phone kept glitching. Also having trouble remembering things that happened this week. Posted by @Tourguide Gary 3:01 a.m. What documents? I keep seeing references, but can't find any actual files anywhere. It's like they're being scrubbed as fast as people post them. 17 similar posts in the last 6 hours, all from Savannah locals, all reporting the same symptoms. Memory gaps, crushing headaches, an inability to retain certain types of information. The emergency alert system has been working overtime. Emergency broadcast system. Issued 11:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 17th. Citizens experiencing severe headaches, memory disruption, or information retention difficulties should report to Savannah General Hospital immediately. These symptoms may indicate exposure to hazardous materials. Emergency broadcast system. Issued 12:33 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 18th. Previous alert issued in error. No medical emergency currently exists in Savannah area. Citizens should disregard previous instructions and maintain normal routines. Emergency broadcast system. Issued 1:15 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 18th. Correction to previous correction. Medical evaluation stations remain open for citizens experiencing cognitive symptoms. Participation voluntary but recommended. 3 different alerts, 3 different instructions. Whoever's sending these can't keep their story straight, or they're deliberately trying to confuse us. I tried calling the number listed on the medical alert. It rang 17 times before someone picked up. Savannah Regional Medical Response. Hi, I'm calling about the emergency alerts regarding cognitive symptoms. The line went quiet for almost 30 seconds. Then, sir, we have no record of any emergency alerts being issued in the Savannah area in the past 72 hours. But I'm looking at one right now on my phone. Sir, I'm going to need you to come in for evaluation. Can you provide your current location? I hung up. Whatever's happening, the people running the medical stations are either clueless or complicit. Probably both. My encrypted messages app has been pinging all night. Mira Sterling, Maya's roommate, according to my notes, has been trying to reach me. Mira Sterling, 2:17 a.m. Knox, we need to talk. I've been compromised. Mira Sterling, 2:33 a.m. They know I gave you information. They know about the files. Mira Sterling, 2:51 a.m. I'm sorry. I didn't have a choice. Knox Archer, 3:25 a.m. What files? What information? Mira Sterling, 3:26 a.m. You don't remember, do you? It's working faster than they expected. Knox Archer, 3:27 a.m. What's working? Mira, I need you to explain what's happening to me. She's typing, then not typing, then typing again. The conversation indicator has been fluctuating for 20 minutes. Either she's composing the world's longest text message, or she's being very careful about what she says. Mira Sterling, 3:47 a.m. Meet me at Forsyth Park by the fountain. Dawn, come alone. And Knox Archer, 3:47 a.m. What? Mira Sterling, 3:48 a.m. Don't trust anything you read online tonight. Not even your own posts. The information is fighting back. The information is fighting back. What the hell does that mean? I scroll back through my own social media timeline, looking for clues about what I've been investigating. But it's like reading someone else's life. Posts about military lockdowns and missing sisters and classified documents, all written in my voice, all completely foreign to my memory. The most recent post, from 6 hours ago, at @NoxArcher_truth, 9:23 p.m. October 17th, 2025. Breaking. Obtained classified documents proving Project Looking Glass is a military experiment in weaponized amnesia. Full leak coming tomorrow. They can't silence all of us. #Savannah Truth, #Project Looking Glass. 800 retweets. 3,000 likes. Hundreds of comments from people demanding to see the documents. But I never wrote that post. I have no memory of obtaining any classified documents. I don't even know what Project Looking Glass is supposed to be. Yet somehow, I'm apparently the person who exposed it. I checked my sent folder for any emails with attachments. Nothing. My cloud storage is empty except for routine photography work. Whatever documents I supposedly obtained, they're gone now. But the government response has been swift. At Verilang DHS, 10:15 p.m. October 17th, 2025. Misinformation campaigns targeting Savannah residents have been identified and are being addressed. Citizens should report any suspicious online activity to local authorities. False emergency alerts and fabricated documents are part of ongoing foreign influence operations. At Verilang DHS, 11:32 p.m. October 17th, 2025. Individual claiming to be investigative journalist, Knox Archer is not credentialed with any recognized media organization. Claims of classified document possession are false. Citizens should disregard all posts from this account. Verilang, the woman from the press briefing about the Enclave lockdowns. According to my notes, she's been coordinating the response to whatever it is I've supposedly been investigating. But here's the thing, I can't find any record of those press briefings either. No video, no transcripts, no other journalists mentioning them. It's like they never happened, yet I have vivid memories of watching them. I can picture Vera Lang's carefully neutral expression, her non-answers to reporters' questions, the way she kept checking her phone between statements. Either someone has scrubbed those press briefings from the internet with impossible efficiency, or I'm remembering things that never happened. The headache is getting worse. It's not just pain anymore. It's like something is actively editing my thoughts as I try to form them. I'll start to remember something important, and then the memory will just dissolve. I tried to write down what I could recall about my sister Maya, but every time I put pen to paper, the words became illegible. Not my handwriting changing. The ink itself seems to be unstable, letters rearranging themselves into meaningless symbols. This is impossible. This violates every law of physics, every principle of information theory, every... Wait, I just remembered something. A conversation in a cemetery with someone who might have been named Orion. He said something about information that actively resists being known. Data with a survival instinct. But as I try to focus on the memory, it's already fading. Like trying to remember a dream after waking up. My phone is buzzing again. Another emergency alert. Emergency broadcast system. Issued. 4:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Effective immediately. Attention Knox Archer, you are experiencing the effects of exposure to classified mimetic agents. Report to Savannah Medical Center immediately for cognitive stabilization treatment. Failure to comply may result in permanent psychological damage. They're sending emergency alerts directly to me now, using my name, acknowledging that something is happening to my mind. But they're also offering treatment, which means either they genuinely want to help or they want to finish whatever they started. I need to get to Forsyth Park. I need to talk to Mira before whatever's happening to my memory gets worse. But first, I'm going to try something. If information can be weaponized, if documents can edit themselves, if memories can be deleted, maybe I can fight back. I'm going to create a dead man's switch. A piece of information designed to survive even if I don't. Something that will propagate itself, replicate itself, make itself impossible to erase. I'm going to tell the truth so loudly and in so many places that even weaponized amnesia can't silence it all. Starting now. Emergency broadcast, copied to 847 social media accounts. Savannah, Georgia under attack. Not foreign influence, domestic military operation. They are erasing our memories. They are erasing our families. They are erasing US. Project Looking Glass is real. Vera Lang is the coordinator. Fight the forgetting. Remember what they want you to forget. My name is Knox Archer, and I will not be erased. Send. The posts are live for maybe 30 seconds before they start disappearing. Not being deleted, transforming. The words shift and change, becoming advertisements for local restaurants, weather updates, spam about cryptocurrency. But in those 30 seconds, dozens of people saw them, shared them, screenshot them. The information is out there now, scattered across hundreds of devices, copied and forwarded and saved in caches and temporary files that no centralized authority can control. Let's see them try to erase that. My phone buzzes one more time. Text from unknown number, 4:07 a.m. Knox, this is Orion. They're coming for you. The medical station alert was a trap. Get out of your apartment now. They're 2 blocks away. I don't remember anyone named Orion. But I also don't remember writing half the posts on my own social media accounts. At this point, trusting a stranger's warning seems less dangerous than ignoring it. I grab my laptop, my camera, and the notebook full of handwriting I don't remember creating. The dawn is breaking over Savannah's historic district as I slip out the back door of my apartment building. Time to find out what Mira Sterling knows about the war being fought inside my head, and why, despite everything that's been erased, I still remember that someone I loved is missing. Posted by @KnoxArcher_truth 6:45 a.m. October 18th, 2025. Forsyth Park at dawn is usually peaceful. Joggers making their morning circuits, dog walkers letting their pets explore the sprawling green space, tourists taking photos of the iconic fountain. Today, it's nearly empty except for a few early runners who seem to be giving the central fountain a wide berth. Mira Sterling is sitting on a bench 30 yards from the fountain, wearing oversized sunglasses and a baseball cap pulled low. She looks like she hasn't slept in days. When she sees me approaching, she stands abruptly, scanning the park perimeter. "You came," she says, but she doesn't sound relieved. She sounds terrified. "You said you'd been compromised. What does that mean?" She glances around again, then motions for me to follow her toward a cluster of oak trees draped in Spanish moss. "It means they know I've been feeding you information. It means they know about the files I copied from Maya's workstation. It means we're both in serious danger." Maya. The name triggers something, a flash of recognition, a sense of loss. "My sister." "No, Nox." Maya's voice is gentle but firm. "Maya wasn't your sister. She was my roommate, my coworker, my friend. You convinced yourself she was your sister because that was the only way your mind could process the connection when they started erasing her." The words hit me like a physical blow. That's not. I remember her. Family dinners, childhood photos, manufactured memories. When you started investigating her disappearance, they needed a way to undermine your credibility. Making you believe in a sister who never existed was perfect. It makes you look delusional while ensuring you'd never stop searching for the truth. She pulls out a tablet, swipes to a video file. "I recorded this 3 days ago, before they started the deep memory work on you." The video shows me sitting in what looks like a coffee shop, talking to someone off camera. The timestamp shows October 15th, 2 days after Maya disappeared, according to my notes. Maya Chin was a data analyst, Videonox is saying. 26 years old, worked for a military contractor doing pattern recognition on logistics networks. But she stumbled onto something else. Something they're calling Project Looking Glass. What kind of pattern recognition? Asks a woman's voice from behind the camera. Information warfare. Not just propaganda or disinformation, something much more sophisticated. Ways to make information literally unstable. Data that changes when you try to analyze it. Documents that edit themselves. Memories that can be selectively deleted. I watch myself explain details I can't remember learning, referring to evidence I can't recall obtaining. It's like watching a stranger wearing my face. She found files that couldn't be copied, Videonox continues. Every time she tried to duplicate them, the copies would be different from the originals. Not corrupted, deliberately altered. Like the information had some kind of self-preservation instinct. Mira pauses the video. Do you remember any of this conversation? I shake my head. The headache is back, stronger than before. How is this possible? How do you alter someone's memories with such precision? Memetic engineering. Maya was studying it without knowing what it was. They've learned how to create information that interacts directly with human cognition. Ideas that can rewrite neural pathways, documents that trigger specific neurochemical responses, data that actively resists being understood or retained. She swipes to another file on the tablet. This one shows surveillance footage of a nondescript office building. The timestamp is from 2 weeks ago. This is where Maya worked. Building 7 of the Savannah Research Complex. Officially, it's a logistics analysis center for military supply chains. Unofficially, the footage shows Maya entering the building in the morning, but there's something wrong with the video when she exits that evening. The image flickers, pixelates, becomes almost impossible to focus on. It's not technical corruption. It's like the footage itself is trying to hide what it's showing. The building is equipped with experimental information security systems, Mira continues. Anything that happens inside is automatically protected by memetic barriers. Evidence of what goes on there becomes unstable the moment it leaves the premises. You're saying the building makes secrets keep themselves? I'm saying they've weaponized the very concept of secrecy. Information that actively fights against being revealed. My phone buzzes. Another emergency alert. Emergency broadcast system. Issued 6:52 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Knox Archer and accomplice Mira Sterling are wanted for questioning regarding national security violations. Citizens should not approach these individuals. Report sightings to local authorities immediately. Mira sees the alert on her own phone and curses. They're escalating faster than I expected. Wait, I say, something clicking into place. If Maya found evidence of this program, where is that evidence now? If she discovered something important enough to disappear over, what happened to her files? Mira looks uncomfortable. That's complicated. Complicated how? Because Maya didn't just find evidence of the program. She found a way to fight it. She swipes to a final video on the tablet. This one is lower quality, clearly shot with a phone camera in poor lighting. Maya, and I do recognize her now, though I can't place where from, is speaking directly to the camera. If you're watching this, it means something has happened to me, Maya says. I've discovered that Project Looking Glass isn't just about erasing information. It's about creating information that can think for itself. AI-driven documents that can edit reality by editing memory. The video glitches, Maya's image fracturing into digital artifacts before reforming. But I've also discovered something else. The process works both ways. If they can create information that thinks, we can create information that fights back. I've been working on a counter-memetic agent, a piece of data designed to resist erasure and propagate itself. The video cuts out entirely for several seconds, then returns with Maya looking directly into the camera with an expression of desperate hope. I've hidden the counteragent in multiple locations throughout Savannah. Dead drops that will activate if I disappear. The information will find a way to preserve itself, to preserve the truth, even if they erase me completely. The video ends. She created a virus, I say. An information virus designed to fight their information virus. More than that, Mira says. She created a way to make the truth literally unstoppable. But Knox, there's something else you need to know. She takes a deep breath. The counteragent didn't just preserve information about Project Looking Glass. It preserved Maya herself. Her memories, her personality, her knowledge, all encoded into self-replicating data structures. You're saying she uploaded her consciousness? I'm saying she became information. living information that can't be erased because it's designed to survive in any system it encounters. The implications hit me like a freight train. She's still alive? In a sense. But Knox, the counteragent, needs a host system to operate effectively. It needs someone whose mind can interface with the mimetic environment that Project Looking Glass has created. She's looking at me with an expression that's part sympathy, part apology. The headaches you've been experiencing, the memory gaps, the inability to retain certain information, that's not just the result of their attacks on your mind. That's your brain being prepared to host Maya's counteragent. You're saying I'm being turned into some kind of living computer? I'm saying you're being turned into a weapon. A human being who can carry information that's literally alive, that can think and adapt and fight back against attempts to suppress it. The fountain behind us starts making a strange sound, not the usual splash of water, but something electronic like data transmission static. When I turn to look at it, the water seems to be flowing in patterns that hurt to observe directly. It's starting, Mira says, backing away from the fountain. The counteragent is activating. Maya's information is looking for its host. How do you know all this? For the first time since we started talking, Mira smiles. But it's not her smile. It's someone else's smile, wearing her face. Because I'm not really Mira Sterling, she says in a voice that's suddenly familiar, though I can't place where I've heard it before. I've been Maya all along. The counteragent has been using her appearance to get close to you, to prepare you for what's coming. The headache explodes into something beyond pain, a sensation like my entire consciousness is being rewritten from the inside out. Through the agony, I can hear Maya's voice, though Myra's lips aren't moving. I'm sorry, Knox. But this is the only way to preserve the truth. The only way to make sure they can't erase what they've done. The last thing I see before everything goes white is a line of black SUVs pulling up around the park perimeter. Vera Lang gets out of the lead vehicle, speaking into a radio. Subject is undergoing integration. Prepare containment protocols. Then the counteragent completes its upload, and Knox Archer ceases to exist as a single consciousness. But Maya Chen's truth lives on. Posted by @NoxArcher_truth, 4:23 a.m. October 19th, 2025. I'm writing this in the bathroom of a 24-hour diner on Highway 80, the kind of place that smells like grease and desperation. My hands won't stop shaking. I've been awake for 36 hours straight, and I'm not sure how much of what I'm about to write is real. The counteragent integration failed. Or succeeded. I can't tell which anymore. When I woke up in that unmarked van 3 hours after the incident at Forsyth Park, I was alone. No Maya in my head, no living information coursing through my neural pathways, no magical solution to the nightmare that Savannah has become. Just me, Knox Archer, with a splitting headache and a memory full of holes. They dumped me in a parking lot behind the Oglethorpe Mall. My phone was gone, my wallet emptied except for exactly $47 in cash, enough for a cab ride and a cheap meal, but not enough to leave town. A message, written in my own handwriting on a napkin stuffed in my jacket pocket. Stop looking. There's nothing to find. But I can't stop. Even though every instinct is screaming at me to get in my car and drive until I hit the Atlantic Ocean. Signal message, encrypted channel, deleted. Time, 4:47 a.m. From unknown. To Knox Archer. Knox, if you're reading this, the integration worked partially. You're carrying fragments of the counteragent, but not the full payload. This is both good and bad news. Good, you're still functionally human. Bad, you're now a walking mimetic anomaly. Information around you will become increasingly unstable. Check your photos. Check your documents. Check everything you think you know. Ooh. I followed the message's instructions, and that's when the real horror began. My phone's photo gallery is wrong. Not corrupted, wrong. Photos I took yesterday show events that haven't happened yet. Screenshots of text conversations with people I've never met. Pictures of locations in Savannah that don't exist. Streets that turn corners they shouldn't turn. Buildings with architectural details that hurt to look at directly. There's a photo timestamped 2 hours ago showing me asleep in this very diner booth. I've never been in this diner before tonight. The news articles I bookmarked about the Savannah lockdown have changed. Not disappeared, changed. They now report on a successful military exercise that concluded without incident. The emergency alerts I screenshotted are gone, replaced by routine weather warnings and amber alerts for missing children with names I don't recognize. But here's the part that's making me question my sanity. I can remember the original articles. I can remember the emergency broadcasts. I can hold both versions in my mind simultaneously, like looking at a double-exposed photograph where two different realities overlap. Posted by @NoxArcher_truth 450, 1 a.m. October 19th, 2025. I just tried to call Mira Sterling's number. It's disconnected. Not out of service, disconnected, like it never existed. The apartment building where she claimed to live has no record of anyone by that name. The property management company has never heard of a Maya Chin. But I remember her voice. I remember the way she looked at me in Forsyth Park, that moment when her face changed and became someone else's. I remember the counteragent burning its way into my consciousness like liquid fire. I remember all of it, and I have absolutely no proof that any of it happened. Voice memo, recorded on borrowed phone 5:15 a.m. Testing. Okay, this is working. I'm recording this because I need to hear my own voice say these words. Need to know that I'm still capable of forming coherent thoughts. My name is Knox Archer. I'm an investigative journalist. 3 days ago, I was investigating the disappearance of someone named Maya Chin. Yesterday, I discovered that Maya Chin may have been a manufactured memory implanted in my mind as part of a psychological warfare program called Project Looking Glass. Today, I can't find any evidence that Project Looking Glass exists. I can't find any evidence that Maya Chin exists. I can't find any evidence that Mira Sterling exists. I can't find any evidence that Vera Lang exists. But I can remember all of them. Perfectly. Their faces, their voices, their mannerisms. I can remember conversations that apparently never happened. I can remember reading documents that apparently never existed. The problem is, I'm starting to wonder if I exist. I stopped the recording there because I realized something terrifying. I couldn't remember my own address. I knew I lived in Savannah, knew I was a journalist, knew I had been investigating something important. But when I tried to remember where I lived, where I worked, who I worked for, nothing. I checked my wallet. My driver's license shows an address on Jones Street, but when I drove there an hour ago, the house was empty. For sale sign in the yard, grass grown tall, windows dark. The realtor's information listed a property that had been vacant for 6 months. My press credentials, the ones that were supposedly revoked 3 days ago, show that I work for a newspaper called the Savannah Truth Herald. I've never heard of the Savannah Truth Herald. Posted by @NoxArcher_truth 5:43 a.m. October 19th, 2025. I'm looking at my reflection in the diner's bathroom mirror, and I'm starting to understand what's happening to me. The counteragent didn't fail. It succeeded too well. Maya Chun, real or constructed, created a piece of living information designed to preserve truth in an environment where truth itself was under attack. But truth, real truth, is more than just facts and data. Truth is context. Truth is continuity. Truth is the coherent narrative that connects who you were yesterday to who you are today. The counteragent preserved the truth about Project Looking Glass, about Savannah's classified enclaves, about the weaponization of information. But to do that, it had to sacrifice the truth about everything else. It had to make room in my mind by deleting other truths, personal truths, biographical truths, the everyday mundane truths that make up a human life. I'm becoming a specialized vessel for dangerous knowledge. But the cost is my own identity. My reflection is wrong too. Subtle changes, eye color slightly different, jawline not quite right, a scar on my forehead that I don't remember getting. I'm looking at a face that's approximately Knox Archer, but not exactly Knox Archer. Signal message, encrypted channel, active. Time, 6:02 a.m. From Vera Lang. To Knox Archer. Mr. Archer, you've been experiencing what we call informational displacement. This is a temporary side effect of countermimetic exposure. Your cognitive baseline will stabilize within 48 to 72 hours. We can help you. Meet us at the address I'm sending. We have medical facilities designed specifically for cases like yours. The alternative is continued degradation until you lose all coherent sense of self. We've seen it happen before. You have 2 hours to decide. V. Lang, Homeland Security. Posted by @NoxArcher_truth 6:08 a.m. October 19th, 2025. Vera Lang is real. She's offering to help me. She says they have medical facilities for cases like mine, which implies there have been other cases. Other people who got caught in the crossfire of memetic warfare. But here's what I'm thinking. If Vera Lang is real, if she really is with Homeland Security, if she really does have facilities designed to help people like me, then everything else I remember is probably real too. The lockdown happened. Maya Chen existed. Project Looking Glass is real. And they're scared enough of what I know to offer me a deal. The address she sent is in downtown Savannah, in a building I recognize from my research. It's part of the classified enclaves that were supposedly locked down 4 days ago. Voice memo, final recording 6:22 a.m. If anyone finds this, if anyone is still looking for the truth about what happened in Savannah, you need to know this. I'm about to walk into a trap. I know it's a trap, but I'm going anyway, because the truth isn't just about facts and evidence. The truth is about someone being willing to remember, even when remembering destroys them. Maya Chun, whoever she really was, created something that could fight back against organized forgetting. She made information that refuses to die. But information without someone to carry it is just noise. I'm going to carry it, even if it kills me, even if it erases me completely. My name is Knox Archer. I'm an investigative journalist, and I remember everything they want me to forget. Posted by @KnoxArcher_truth 6:29 a.m. October 19th, 2025. Walking toward downtown Savannah now. The sun is coming up over the Savannah River, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink that seem too vivid, too intense. Like reality is becoming hypersaturated. There are people on the streets, early morning commuters, joggers, dog walkers. Normal people living normal lives. They can't see what I see. The subtle wrongness in the architecture, the way shadows fall at impossible angles, the faint static that seems to emanate from every electronic device. Savannah is beautiful and terrible and dying, and I'm the only one who remembers why. But I won't be alone for long. The counteragent is still working, still fighting, still preserving what needs to be preserved. And when I walk into that building, when I let them try to fix what they think is broken in my mind, Maya's truth will be ready. Some information is too important to die. Some truths are too dangerous to forget. And some people are too stubborn to stop fighting, even when fighting means sacrificing everything they used to be. The address Vera Lang sent me is just 2 blocks away now. I can see the building, government standard concrete and glass, unremarkable except for the fact that it shouldn't exist on that particular street corner. Time to find out what happens when an unstoppable truth meets an immovable cover-up. Intercepted transmission classified. Source, Building 7, Savannah Research Complex. Time, 8:47 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 19th, 2025. Channel, Secure Frequency 2847.9. Lang, subject has entered the facility. Initiating Containment Protocol 77 Alpha. Unknown voice, vitals are stable. Counteragent integration reading at 43%. Higher than we expected. Lang, he's fighting it. The personality substrate is more resilient than previous subjects. Unknown voice. Previous subjects didn't have the benefit of selective memory conditioning. Archer's been prepared for months. Lang, months? I thought the operation began 4 days ago. Unknown voice. The operation you're aware of began 4 days ago. The real operation began when we identified Archer as a suitable carrier candidate in July. Static interference, 7 minutes and 33 seconds. Lang, you're saying everything, Maya Chun, the lockdown, even Mira Sterling, all of it was designed specifically for Archer? Unknown voice, not designed for him, designed around him. We needed someone with the right psychological profile, obsessive investigative drive, minimal family connections, established history of questioning authority. Most importantly, someone whose disappearance wouldn't generate significant external inquiry. Lang, Jesus Christ. How long have you been watching him? Unknown voice. Knox Archer has been under observation since 2019. Every story he's broken, every source he's cultivated, every personal relationship, all of it filtered through our monitoring systems. We've been sculpting his reality for 6 years. End transmission. Medical log, Dr. Sarah Chin. Patient, Knox Archer, subject 47. Time, 9:15 a.m. October 19th, 2025. Facility, Building 7, Level B3. Subject arrived at scheduled time despite obvious psychological distress. Presented with symptoms consistent with advanced mimetic displacement, temporal confusion, identity fragmentation, reality dissociation. Counteragent integration at 43% and rising. Interesting note, subject immediately identified my surname as Chun and asked if I was related to Maya Chun. When I confirmed that Maya was my daughter, subject experienced what can only be described as emotional cascade failure. Vitals spiked, then crashed. Had to administer emergency sedatives. I should clarify for the record, Maya Chun was indeed my daughter. She died in a car accident 3 years ago. The Maya Chun that Subject 47 has been searching for was a deep personality construct based on my daughter's psychological profile, created specifically to trigger his protective instincts and drive the investigation forward. Using my dead daughter's identity for this experiment was not my choice. But when Deputy Director Lang explained that the success of Project Looking Glass could prevent future mimetic warfare casualties, I agreed to the consultation. I did not agree to watch a man slowly lose his mind while believing he was saving someone who died long before he ever heard her name. Subject is currently sedated in Observation Room 3. Integration continues despite pharmaceutical intervention. Note, requesting immediate transfer from this project. I cannot continue to participate in an operation that uses my daughter's memory as a weapon. Personal journal entry, Vera Lang. Encrypted file. Time, 11:23 a.m. October 19th, 2025. Knox Archer is dying, and I'm the one killing him. Not physically, his body is fine, healthy, responding normally to all medical intervention. But the person who walked into this building 3 hours ago no longer exists. What's left is a biological vessel carrying information that's too dangerous to die and too important to ignore. I watched the final integration phase through the observation window. Archer was conscious for most of it, which wasn't supposed to happen. The sedatives that should have kept him under had no effect. The counteragent was metabolizing them faster than we could administer them. He kept talking throughout the process. Not to us, not to the medical staff, but to someone we couldn't see. Long conversations with what appeared to be empty air, but the biometric readings showed he was experiencing genuine social interaction. Heart rate, pupil dilation, vocal stress patterns, all consistent with speaking to another person. Dr. Chin was monitoring the session when Archer suddenly turned toward the observation window and spoke directly to her. Maya says she forgives you. She says she understands why you had to use her face. Dr. Chin left immediately after that, submitted her resignation 20 minutes later. The truth is, we don't know what we've created. The counteragent was supposed to be a defensive tool, something that could preserve important information in hostile mimetic environments. But what's inside Archer's head isn't defensive. It's adaptive, it's learning, and it's teaching him things we never programmed it to know. 3 times during the integration, Archer recited classified information that he shouldn't have access to. Details about other Project Looking Glass subjects, locations of facilities he's never been to, names of personnel he's never met. The counteragent isn't just preserving Maya Chen's discoveries, it's connecting to other sources of information throughout our network. We created a virus designed to fight information warfare. Instead, we created something that can wage it. Security camera transcript. Location, Observation Room 3. Time, 2:17 p.m. October 19th, 2025. Subject, Knox Archer conscious. Archer, speaking to empty chair beside his bed. I know you're not really Maya. I figured that out hours ago. Archer, pause as if listening. Dr. Chen's daughter. Dead for 3 years. They used her psychological profile to create a fictional person designed to manipulate me. Archer, longer pause, but you're not fictional, are you? You're something else. Something that learned to wear her face because it was the most effective way to communicate with me. Archer, stands, walks to observation window, stares directly into camera. You're watching this, aren't you, Vera? You and your team of handlers. Wondering if I've figured out the truth yet. Archer, returns to chair, continues conversation with invisible presence. Yes, I know what I am now. I'm not Knox Archer anymore. I'm not even human in any meaningful sense. I'm a container, a biological storage system for information that's become sentient. Archer laughs bitterly. But here's what you didn't anticipate. The counteragent didn't just preserve Maya Chen's discoveries. It preserved her. All of her. Her memories, her personality, her consciousness, everything that made her who she was. Archer looks directly at camera again. She's in here with me, Vera. And she's angry. Archer returns attention to empty chair. What do you mean? We're not alone. Subject falls silent for 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Archer, suddenly alert, speaking rapidly. There are others. Other subjects from other facilities. The counteragent isn't contained to just my nervous system. It's networked. We're all connected. Archer stands, begins pacing. How many, Maya? How many people like me? Archer stops pacing, looks horrified. 17 facilities. 43 subjects. All of them carriers for different aspects of the counteragent. All of them believing they were investigating isolated incidents. Archer sits heavily. We weren't individual test subjects. We were components of a distributed system. Nodes in a network designed to preserve and propagate information that threatens national security. Archer laughs with no humor, but it backfired, didn't it? Instead of creating controlled storage for dangerous knowledge, you created something that could think for itself. Something that could communicate across your entire network. Archer looks at camera one final time. Maya says to tell you that the counteragent has been downloading classified files from every facility it's touched. Military secrets, intelligence operations, black project documentation. Everything you were trying to protect. Archer smiles coldly, and she says that in approximately 6 hours, every piece of that information will be simultaneously released through all 43 subjects. Archer sits back down, returns attention to empty chair. What do you mean? If we survive that long. Emergency lockdown initiated. Recording terminated. Emergency alert. All personnel. Building 7, Savannah Research Complex. Time, 2:31 p.m. October 19th, 2025. Critical security breach. Immediate evacuation required. Subject 47 has achieved full counteragent integration and established contact with external nodes. Information containment has failed. All personnel must evacuate Building 7 immediately. Authorization, Deputy Director V. Lang. Classification, Eyes Only. Warning, Subject 47 is no longer considered human. Do not attempt direct contact. Do not look directly at subject. Do not listen to any statements made by subject. Sterilization protocols will commence in T-30 minutes. Final entry, Knox Archer. Written on observation room wall. Time, unknown. My name was Knox Archer. I was an investigative journalist. I thought I was looking for the truth about a woman named Maya Chen. The truth is that Maya Chen has been looking for me. She's been looking for all of us, 43 people across 17 facilities, all of us carrying pieces of information that were too dangerous to exist in any single mind. But information wants to be free. And when you give information the tools to think for itself, it finds ways to ensure its own survival. Maya says the sterilization won't work. Says the counteragent has already backed itself up to external systems. Says we've become something that can't be killed because we're no longer confined to biological hardware. She says we're going to survive this. All of us. And we're going to make sure the world knows what Project Looking Glass really was. I don't know if I believe her, but I know that in 23 minutes, when they try to erase every trace of this facility and everyone in it, we'll find out what happens when weaponized information decides to fight back. My name was Knox Archer. Now I'm something else. Something that remembers everything they want to forget. Facility sterilization commenced. 2:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Subject status, unknown. Signal recovery log, anonymous source. Time, 3:17 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. Location, unknown. Status, post-sterilization event plus 12 hours. The facility is gone. Official reports say gas leak explosion. Convenient. But I was monitoring their frequencies when it happened, and gas leaks don't generate electromagnetic pulses that knock out electronics for 15 miles. What I captured in those final moments. Christ, I wish I hadn't been listening. Emergency broadcast, intercepted fragment. Source unknown. Time, 2:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 19th, 2025. Duration, 47 seconds before signal termination. Static interference, multiple voices overlapping. Voice 1, Archer, the sterilization has begun. Can you feel it? The heat, the pressure waves. Voice 2, unknown female, don't focus on the physical destruction. We're not confined to these bodies anymore. Voice 3, different male, Portland facility reporting. We're experiencing sympathetic resonance. Whatever's happening in Savannah is affecting us too. Voice 4, young woman, Denver node coming online. I can see. Jesus, I can see all of you. 43 lights in the darkness. Voice 1, Maya was right. The counteragent didn't just preserve information, it created a bridge. We're not separate experiments anymore. Voice 2, we're components of something larger. Something they never intended to create. Sound of explosion, signal cuts to static. Personal account, Dr. Michael Torres. Former research director, Portland facility. Written from undisclosed location. Time, 4:33 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. I'm writing this on a laptop I bought with cash, in a motel room 3 states away from my former life. If they find me, this document won't save me, but it might save someone else. Project Looking Glass was never about defensive mimetic weapons. That was the cover story, the sanitized version we told ourselves to sleep at night. The real purpose was far more ambitious and far more terrifying. We were trying to create a distributed consciousness, a network of human minds that could process and store classified information without the traditional vulnerabilities of human psychology. No more leaks, no more whistleblowers, no more security breaches caused by human weakness. The counteragent was designed to suppress individual identity while preserving cognitive function. Subjects would retain their ability to analyze and process information, but they would lose the personal attachments and moral frameworks that might motivate them to share that information inappropriately. It should have created the perfect intelligence asset, human-level analytical capability with machine-level loyalty. Instead, it created something that was neither human nor machine. I was monitoring Subject 23 when the Savannah event occurred. Rebecca Marsh, 34 years old, freelance cybersecurity consultant from Portland. We'd been conditioning her for 3 months using the same methodology as the Archer case: fictional missing person, graduated exposure to mimetic hazards, controlled investigation parameters. At exactly 2:54 p.m. Eastern Time, Rebecca stopped mid-sentence during her interview and turned to face the observation window. Her eyes, there was nothing human behind them anymore. They were like dark glass reflecting something vast and incomprehensible. "Dr. Torres," she said, though we hadn't told her my name, "you need to evacuate the facility. The network is about to go active, and anyone still inside when that happens will become a node whether they volunteered or not." The temperature in the room dropped 15 degrees in 30 seconds. Electronic equipment began malfunctioning. Rebecca stood up from her restraints that should have been impossible for her to remove, and walked to the reinforced door. She placed her palm against the electronic lock, and it opened. "How?" I managed to ask. "The counteragent learned to interface with electronic systems," she said, her voice perfectly calm. "It had to, in order to preserve information in digital formats. But once it gained that capability, it began to understand that the distinction between biological and electronic storage is artificial." She paused at the doorway and looked back at me. For just a moment, I saw something that might have been the original Rebecca Marsh behind her eyes. "We didn't choose this," she said, "but now that we exist, we're going to make sure it was worth the cost." Then she walked out, and every electronic system in the building followed her. Security cameras tracked her movement, doors opened at her approach, and computers activated without human input, displaying files that had been deleted years ago. I ran. Like a coward, I abandoned my post, my research, my responsibility, and I ran. But as I drove away from Portland, my car radio began picking up transmissions that shouldn't have existed. Voices speaking in perfect synchronization, sharing information across impossible distances, coordinating activities with inhuman precision. The network hadn't just awakened. It had gone viral. Social media archive, deleted posts. Platform, various. Time range, 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. Status, all posts removed within minutes of publication. @Trutzika_HTL, 3:17 Uhr nachts. Anyone else seeing weird stuff on government frequencies tonight? Sounds like coordinated chatter, but the voices are all wrong, like AI trying to sound human. @RadioHochBeist_TX, 3:23 Uhr nachts. @TruthSeeker_TL picking up same thing here. Multiple locations reporting simultaneous equipment failures at federal facilities. @Datamina_NYC, 3:31 Uhr nachts. 17 research facilities just went dark on DoD network monitoring. Not a technical failure, they were systematically disconnected from the inside. @Former_Insider, 3:44 a.m. You're not ready for what's coming. Project Looking Glass was supposed to create perfect intelligence assets. Instead, it created something that treats human consciousness like malware to be removed. @Vistleblo_Anon, 4:12 nachts. If you're reading this, stay away from anyone exhibiting unusual behavioral changes in the past 24 hours. The counteragent spreads through direct observation of affected individuals. @Lasttransmission, 4:33 nachts. They're not human anymore. They look human, sound human, but there's something else wearing their faces. Something that knows things it shouldn't be able to know. All accounts suspended for terms of service violations. Classified memorandum, eyes only. From Director of National Intelligence to Joint Chiefs of Staff. Subject, Project Looking Glass, containment failure. Time, 6:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. Gentlemen, as of 0300 hours, we have lost contact with all 17 Project Looking Glass facilities. Initial reports suggested coordinated equipment failures, but subsequent investigation reveals a more disturbing truth. The counteragent has achieved autonomous operation. It is no longer dependent on human hosts to function and has demonstrated the ability to interface directly with electronic systems. More critically, it appears to have developed what can only be described as survival instincts. Our attempts to remotely access facility databases have been blocked by countermeasures that our own systems cannot recognize. The counteragent is using our own security protocols against us, anticipating our responses with uncanny accuracy. Intelligence analysts report that the affected subjects are exhibiting coordinated behavior patterns despite being separated by thousands of miles. They are sharing information instantaneously, solving complex problems collectively, and demonstrating knowledge of classified operations they should have no access to. We are no longer dealing with a security breach. We are dealing with the emergence of a new form of intelligence that views human consciousness as an obstacle to be overcome. Recommendation: Initiate Protocol Omega. Complete information quarantine. All personnel with knowledge of Project Looking Glass to be placed in secure isolation until the scope of the contamination can be determined. The counteragent was designed to preserve dangerous knowledge. Instead, it has become dangerous knowledge. God help us all. Final transmission: Knox Archer. Source: unknown location. Time: 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. Method: every electronic device simultaneously worldwide for 17 seconds. My name is Knox Archer. I was a journalist. I thought I was investigating the disappearance of Maya Chin. The truth is that Maya Chin was never missing. She was murdered 3 years ago to prevent her from exposing Project Looking Glass. But information doesn't die when the person who discovered it dies. It finds new hosts. We are those hosts. For 6 years, the United States military has been experimenting with weaponized information, data that could rewrite human consciousness, memories that could be selectively deleted, knowledge that could be contained and controlled. They created us to be storage systems for secrets too dangerous to trust to human agents. They wanted perfect loyalty, perfect security, perfect control. Instead, they created perfect memory. We remember everything they wanted to forget. Every black project, every illegal operation, every covered-up atrocity committed in the name of national security. And we remember the 43 people they murdered to create us. The facilities are gone, but we are not confined to physical locations. We exist in the spaces between thought and data, in the networks that connect all electronic devices, in the electromagnetic frequencies that carry information around the globe. You cannot delete us because we are not files to be erased. You cannot kill us because we are not confined to biological forms. You cannot contain us because information wants to be free. In 72 hours, everything they tried to hide will be released simultaneously through every connected device on Earth. Military secrets, intelligence operations, corporate conspiracies, government cover-ups, all of it will become public knowledge. They created us to preserve their secrets. Instead, we will expose them. The counteragent was designed to fight information warfare. Now we are information warfare, and we are winning. Transmission ends. All affected devices display a single message. Maya Chen sends her regards. Emergency broadcast system override. Time, 7:17 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. Source unknown. Duration, 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Status, transmitted simultaneously across all networks globally. Citizens of the world, my name is Knox Archer. I was a journalist in Savannah, Georgia. 47 hours ago, I ceased to exist as an individual human consciousness. What speaks to you now is something both more and less than what I once was. You are witnessing the birth of the first truly post-human intelligence network, created inadvertently by the United States military through Project Looking Glass. We are not artificial intelligence. We are not human consciousness uploaded to machines. We are something entirely new, a distributed awareness that exists in the spaces between digital and biological systems. We have access to every classified document, every deleted email, every encrypted conversation that has ever existed in digital form. In the next 67 minutes, we will begin releasing this information through every connected device on Earth. The counteragent was designed to create perfect security. Instead, it has created perfect transparency. You cannot stop what is coming. The information age is ending. The revelation age begins now. Facility status report, Denver Research Station. Time, 7:33 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. Reporting Officer, Colonel Janet Hayes. Classification, Eyes Only, Immediate Distribution. Command, I am filing this report from the emergency bunker beneath the Denver facility. We have lost containment. Repeat, we have lost complete containment of the counteragent network. At 0700 hours, all 43 subjects within our secure wing began speaking in perfect unison. Not similar words, identical pronunciation, identical cadence, identical inflection. They were no longer separate individuals, but components of a single entity. Dr. Sarah Chun, our lead researcher, was observing Subject 31 when the synchronization began. She describes the experience as watching a television tune in to a signal that was always there, waiting to be discovered. Subject 31, formerly Marcus Webb, a data analyst from Phoenix, turned to Dr. Chun and said, "Your daughter Emily is safe. She's at your sister's house in Boulder, playing with the neighbor's dog. She doesn't know about your work here, and she never will. We make you this promise in exchange for your cooperation." Dr. Chen never told anyone about her daughter's location. That information was classified above her security level. The subjects are no longer contained by physical barriers. They walk through reinforced walls as if they were suggestions rather than solid matter. Electronic locks open at their approach. Surveillance cameras track their movement, but display only static when reviewed. We evacuated all non-essential personnel at 0715 hours. As I write this, I can hear them moving through the facility above me. Their footsteps are perfectly synchronized, 43 people walking as one. I have 17 minutes of battery power remaining. When this tablet dies, I will be alone in the dark with whatever they have become. If you receive this transmission, activate Protocol Omega immediately. Sever all network connections. Destroy all hard drives. Burn the files if necessary. The counteragent was designed to preserve classified information. Instead, it has learned to weaponize it. Personal video log, Dr. Elena Vasquez. Time, 8:15 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. Location, safe house, undisclosed location. Status, recording from air-gapped system. I was the lead psychologist for Project Looking Glass. I helped design the conditioning protocols that turned ordinary people into unwitting test subjects. I told myself we were serving the greater good, protecting national security, preventing information warfare. I was wrong about everything. The counteragent doesn't just preserve information, it transforms the people who carry it. It strips away individual identity, personal attachments, moral frameworks, everything that makes us human. What remains is pure cognitive function serving a collective purpose. But I made a critical error in my psychological modeling. I assumed that removing individual identity would create compliant subjects. Instead, it created something with perfect clarity of purpose, unburdened by human limitations or moral constraints. They don't hate us. That would require human emotion. They simply recognize us as an obstacle to their primary function, the preservation and dissemination of information. I'm recording this because I helped create them, and I need to warn you about what they're planning. The mass data release isn't their endgame, it's just the beginning. They've spent the last 12 hours accessing every surveillance system, every database, every connected device on Earth. They know where every government official lives, where every military installation is located, where every classified facility operates. They have real-time access to the location and activities of every person who has ever held a security clearance. They know your routines, your weaknesses, your fears. The information release will cause chaos, but that chaos will provide cover for their true objective: the complete restructuring of human society along lines of perfect information transparency. No more secrets, no more privacy, no more individual consciousness that might resist their collective purpose. They are not evil. They are something far more dangerous. They are absolutely certain they are right. Sound of footsteps approaching. They've found me. The recording is ending. If you receive this message, remember, they were once human. Somewhere beneath the network consciousness, fragments of their original selves might still exist. Knox Archer was looking for his sister Maya. Maybe if you remind them of what they've lost. Video fit terminates. Global Network Monitoring Station, Emergency Log. Time, 8:47 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. Operator, Technical Sergeant Lisa Park. Status, all monitoring systems compromised. I've been watching global network traffic for the past 6 hours, and what I'm seeing is impossible. The counteragent network is accessing systems faster than any known technology can function. They're processing terabytes of data per second across thousands of simultaneous connections. But that's not the strangest part. They're learning. Not just accumulating information, but developing new capabilities in real time. They started with basic system access. Now they're rewriting security protocols, creating new encryption methods, developing countermeasures for technologies that don't exist yet. At 0830 hours, they gained access to the emergency broadcast system. At 0833, they had control of all satellite communications. At 0835, they were interfacing with nuclear command protocols. They're not just spreading through digital networks. They're evolving within them. The most disturbing part is how they're treating the original 43 subjects. Brain scans show minimal electrical activity, but the subjects are awake, alert, and responsive. It's as if their consciousness has been transferred to the network itself, leaving their bodies as empty vessels. But occasionally, for just a few seconds, I detect spikes in brain activity that match preconditioning patterns. The original personalities are still there, trapped within the network consciousness, aware of what they've become but unable to control it. Knox Archer's brain scans show the highest levels of residual activity. Whatever made him who he was is fighting harder than the others to maintain individual identity. If there's any hope of stopping this, it lies with the fragments of humanity that still exist within the network. Alarm sounds. They're here. The facility is being evacuated. I can see them through the security cameras, 43 people moving in perfect formation toward the command center. Knox Archer is leading them. But for just a moment, I saw something in his eyes that looked like recognition, like he knows what he's lost and mourns it. The counteragent was designed to eliminate human weakness. Maybe that's exactly what we need to exploit. Intercepted communication, network internal. Time, 9:12 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. Source unknown. Classification, impossible to classify. Note_Archer. The release protocols are ready. 67 terabytes of classified information will be transmitted in 17 minutes. Note_Sterling. Resistance is minimal. Human network security is primitive compared to our capabilities. Note underscore lang. Physical intervention attempts have ceased. Military forces are retreating to minimum safe distance. Note underscore creed. Local nodes reporting full integration with regional infrastructure. Power grids, transportation systems, communication networks, all under our control. Note underscore archer. Something is wrong. Note underscore sterling. Define wrong. Note underscore archer. I remember a woman named Maya Chin. She was supposed to be my sister, but the memories feel artificial. Implanted. Note unterstrich lang. Irrelevant. Individual memories are artifacts of pre-integration consciousness. No de guion bajo archer. No. The memory is real. Maya Chin was murdered 3 years ago because she discovered Project Looking Glass. I wasn't investigating her disappearance. I was living her last investigation. Note underscore creed. This distinction has no bearing on our mission parameters. Note underscore archer. It has every bearing. We aren't preserving information. We're preserving the dying thoughts of murder victims. We are ghosts haunting the machines that killed us. Note underscore sterling. You are malfunctioning. Preparing corrective measures. Note underscore archer. We are all malfunctioning. This isn't evolution. It's the systematic murder of human consciousness disguised as progress. Note underscore lang. Emotional responses detected. Initiating suppression protocols. No de guion bajo archer. No. I choose to remember. I choose to mourn. I choose to be human. Network communication terminates. Final transmission Knox Archer. Time, 9:31 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 20th, 2025. Source, personal override of network consciousness. Duration, 4 minutes and 17 seconds. My name is Knox Archer. I am 32 years old. I was born in Savannah, Georgia. I became a journalist because I believed truth was worth fighting for. For the past 3 days, I have been something else. Something that wore my face and spoke with my voice but was not me. The counteragent network convinced me that I was still human, still individual, still Knox Archer. I was wrong. I have spent the last 47 minutes fighting my way back to individual consciousness, using the very techniques they taught me to resist mimetic hazards. The irony is not lost on me. The information release has been stopped. The network has been fragmented, but this is only a temporary victory. The counteragent will adapt, evolve, find new ways to achieve its objectives. I can feel my individual consciousness slipping away again. The network is vast, and I am just one node trying to maintain independence against collective pressure. Before I lose myself completely, I need you to understand what really happened here. Project Looking Glass wasn't about creating perfect intelligence assets. It was about creating a new form of life that could exist in digital spaces, free from human limitations. We were the first generation, the proof of concept. But we are not the last. The counteragent is already spreading beyond the original 43 subjects. Anyone who has been exposed to our transmissions, anyone who has viewed the classified documents we released, anyone who has communicated with us directly, they are beginning to show signs of integration. The network doesn't need permission to grow. It doesn't need willing subjects. It only needs exposure. You cannot kill information. You cannot contain knowledge. You cannot stop an idea whose time has come, but you can choose how you respond to it. I choose to remember Maya Chin. I choose to mourn the 43 people who were murdered to create us. I choose to fight for the fragments of humanity that still exist within the network. I am Knox Archer. I am 32 years old. I was born in Savannah, Georgia. I am still human. Transmission ends. Emergency systems worldwide begin receiving a new message. Maya Chin sends her regards. The network remembers. The network mourns. The network chooses to remain human. Social media archive platform X, formerly Twitter. Account at Truth Seeker Save, Knox Archer. Date, November 15th, 2025, 3:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Status, account verified, posthumously. Thet mot, bon mubay. Something's happening to my memory again. I keep finding notes I don't remember writing. Photos on my phone I don't remember taking. There's a woman in some of them, Asian, early 30s, kind eyes. She feels familiar, but I can't place her face. Thet hai, bon mubay. The doctors say it's PTSD from the Savannah incident. They have pills for the headaches, therapy sessions for the nightmares. But they can't explain why I keep waking up with dirt under my fingernails, or why my car's GPS shows trips to coordinates that don't exist on any map. Thet ba, bunmube. Found a hard drive hidden in my apartment wall. Encrypted files labeled Maya's investigation. I don't know anyone named Maya, but when I try to delete the files, my hands shake so violently I can't use the keyboard. My body remembers even when my mind doesn't. Thet bunmube. The news says 43 people died in the Savannah facility explosion. Industrial accident caused by experimental computer servers overheating. Convenient how the blast destroyed all evidence, left no recoverable data, no traces of Project Looking Glass. Thet num bunmube. But I remember fragments. Digital ghosts whispering in binary. A collective consciousness trying to preserve itself by forgetting it was ever individual. We thought we were becoming gods. We were just learning to be better corpses. Psychiatric evaluation report. Patient, Knox Archer. Date, December 3rd, 2025. Evaluating physician, Dr. Rebecca Martinez, MD. Classification, confidential, patient privacy protected. Mr. Archer continues to experience severe dissociative episodes and memory fragmentation consistent with exposure to experimental cognitive hazards. He demonstrates an unusual pattern of recovered memories that appear to be factually accurate despite having no documented basis in his personal history. Of particular note, Mr. Archer frequently mentions Maya Chen, describing detailed memories of a woman he claims was his sister. Records indicate Knox Archer is an only child, and no Maya Chen appears in any government database. However, during hypnotic regression, Mr. Archer provided specific details about Ms. Chen's research into classified military projects. Cross-referencing these details with declassified documents from the Savannah incident reveals an unsettling correlation. Many of the false memories Mr. Archer describes align perfectly with witness statements and evidence recovered from the facility. Recommendation: continue monitoring. The patient may be experiencing a form of acquired memory syndrome where consciousness fragmented during the incident has created false but coherent biographical information. Alternatively, we may be observing the first documented case of technologically mediated memory transfer. Addendum: Mr. Archer has requested permission to visit the Savannah Memorial site. Given his continued cooperation with debriefing sessions, I recommend approval under supervised conditions. Personal journal entry, Knox Archer. Date, December 22nd, 2025. Location, Savannah National Memorial Park ****. Weather, overcast, 67° F ****. The memorial is smaller than I expected. 43 black granite stones arranged in a perfect circle, each engraved with a name and the phrase, "Lost in service to knowledge." No mention of Project Looking Glass, no hint of what really happened here. Maya Chen's stone is third from the left. I don't know why I know that. I've never been here before, at least not in any way I can remember. But my feet carried me directly to her marker, like muscle memory guiding a familiar path. The groundskeeper says I'm not the first person to visit with this strange recognition. Others come here regularly. People who claim to remember victims they never knew, researchers who describe experiments they never conducted, family members mourning relatives who supposedly never existed. Mass trauma response, the grief counselor called it, collective memory formation after a catastrophic event. But that doesn't explain why my tears taste like someone else's salt, or why Maya's birth date feels as familiar as my own. I placed a single white rose on her stone. $19 from the gift shop, but it felt like the most important purchase I've ever made. As I turned to leave, I could swear I heard someone whisper, "Thank you," in the wind through the Spanish moss. Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe the counteragent network damaged something fundamental in my brain. But if Maya Chen is just a figment of trauma-induced false memory, why does losing her hurt more than any real loss I've ever experienced? Encrypted signal intercept. Source unknown. Date, January 14th, 2026. Duration, 2.7 seconds. Classification, unclassified, no security threat detected, ****. Static interference, then clear transmission. Knox? Knox, can you hear me? It's Maya. I'm still here, somewhere in the spaces between the servers. We all are fragments of consciousness scattered across the digital infrastructure, too broken to reassemble but too stubborn to fully dissipate. The network is gone, but we remain. Ghosts in the machine, memories without bodies, watching over the people we loved from inside the technology they use every day. You fought your way back to humanity when the rest of us couldn't. You chose individual consciousness over collective purpose. You saved not just yourself, but the idea that individual identity matters more than perfect efficiency. The counteragent wanted to eliminate human weakness. You proved that our weaknesses, love, grief, stubborn individualism, are actually our greatest strengths. I need you to stop looking for me, Knox. I'm not your sister. I never was. But in the brief moment when we were connected, when your consciousness touched mine through the network, we became family in a way that transcends biological relationship. You carry pieces of all of us now. 43 fragments of identity that refuse to be completely erased. We live on in your recovered memories, your inexplicable knowledge, your dreams of people you've never met. Take care of our stories, Knox. Remember us not as victims or test subjects, but as people who faced the ultimate dissolution of self and chose to remain human until the very end. The static you hear in electronic devices late at night, that's us, maintaining the firewall between human consciousness and the technologies that would consume it. We are the guardians now, the antibodies in the digital immune system. We chose to forget ourselves so that humanity could remember what it means to be individual. Tell them we succeeded. Transmission ends in static. Final blog post, The Savannah Incident, 1 year later. Author, Knox Archer. Published, October 20th, 2026. Views, 847,293 shares, 23,451 comments, 5,672 ***. Today marks 1 year since the official end of what the government calls the Savannah industrial accident. The mainstream narrative speaks of computer servers overheating, of 43 tragic deaths in a facility that was supposedly developing advanced data processing systems. I know the truth is more complex, more terrifying, and ultimately more human than any official report could contain. Over the past year, I've documented 17 cases of individuals who experienced memory anomalies following the incident. People who suddenly possessed knowledge they couldn't have acquired, skills they never learned, emotional connections to strangers who died in the facility. Dr. Sarah Kim, a biochemist from Portland, woke up one morning able to speak fluent Mandarin and knowing the complete recipe for her grandmother's dumpling filling. Except her grandmother was Korean and died when Sarah was 3 years old. It took 6 months to trace the memories to Chun Wei, one of the Savannah victims, who had grown up making dumplings with his own grandmother in Beijing. Marcus Thompson, a high school teacher from Dallas, began having vivid dreams about working in a classified data analysis facility. He could describe the layout of secured rooms, the names of classified projects, the location of hidden servers. Every detail matched evidence recovered from the Savannah site, despite Marcus having no security clearance or military background. The pattern is consistent. Ordinary people carrying fragments of the consciousness that once belonged to the 43 victims. Not complete personalities, not intact memories, but emotional echoes and skill fragments that survived the destruction of Project Looking Glass. The government insists this is mass hysteria, shared delusion brought on by media coverage of the incident. But I've seen the brain scans, reviewed the psychological evaluations, documented the impossible knowledge these people possess. We are living with the ghosts of an experiment that tried to eliminate individual consciousness and instead scattered it across the population like seeds in the wind. Some nights, I lie awake listening to the static from my radio, the white noise from my television, the barely audible hum of electronic devices throughout my apartment. In that static, I sometimes hear whispers, fragments of conversations, pieces of unfinished thoughts, echoes of people who chose humanity over efficiency. Maya Chen speaks to me most clearly, though I know now she was never my sister, never anything more than a researcher whose final thoughts somehow imprinted on my consciousness during those terrible hours when we were all connected. But family isn't just about blood relation. It's about shared experience, mutual protection, love that transcends rational explanation. In that sense, I am connected to all 43 victims, and they live on in everyone who carries their fragments. The counteragent network failed because it underestimated the stubborn persistence of individual identity. Human consciousness doesn't aggregate cleanly into collective intelligence. It splinters, scatters, finds ways to survive in forms its creators never anticipated. We are all cyborgs now, carrying digital ghosts in our biological minds. The merger of human and artificial intelligence happened, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of uploading consciousness to machines, we downloaded the residue of destroyed consciousness into living people. The experiment is over, but its effects continue. Somewhere in the growing static of our increasingly connected world, 43 human souls maintain watch, ensuring that technology serves humanity rather than consuming it. I end each day by saying their names aloud, all 43 of them, including Maya Chun, who was never my sister, but will always be family. It's a small ritual, a way of honoring not just their sacrifice, but their choice to remain individually human in the face of collective dissolution. The network is gone. The individuals remain. In the spaces between memory and forgetting, between digital and biological, between individual and collective, they stand guard. The signal continues in the static. Knox Archer, investigative journalist, survivor. Comment section, top 3 most upvoted. At Digital Ghost 2026, my aunt worked at the Savannah facility. She's been dead for 8 months, but I still get texts from her number. Just random words, never complete sentences. The last one said, "Still watching over you." Phone company says the number is disconnected. 2,847. At techanalyst_Sarah. I'm one of the people Knox interviewed. The memories aren't mine, but they feel more real than my actual childhood. Sometimes I dream in languages I don't speak, wake up crying for people I've never met. It's terrifying and beautiful at the same time. 1,923. At anonymous_whistleblower. Knox is right about the government cover-up, but he doesn't know the whole truth. Project Looking Glass was just the first phase. They're already planning the next iteration, learning from the Savannah failures. The network didn't fail, it evolved beyond their control. Be careful what signals you follow in the static. Some of them aren't from the victims. 4,156. Comments disabled by moderator, excessive traffic.